Guild Wars, Sea of Sorrows. Chapter 38. Kobaya blinked. Matcha? Yom snuck through the Asura gate to raid a sum, the voice said blithely. You should have seen him begging the Arcane Council for assistance. But his request was rejected. None of the colleges were willing to send help. Who knew they'd be so mad over a little counter-appropriation almost 20 years ago? It's not like they didn't make their money back when they double-charged us to build gates in Lion's Arch. Matcha, what are you doing here? In the last few years, I've spent a lot of time considering the eternal alchemy, and I've come to the conclusion that my formula of diverse interaction was flawed. I redid the calculations and found my initial error. What? An audible sigh. I said. I came to make things right. The nadir shill pushed its way past the others, cresting the white-capped waves. As it cut in front of the trident, Kobaya saw 4 more phantom ships materialize around it. Scarlet spread through the water, and he smelled the overwhelming reek of blood. Apparently the maw smelled it too, because the monster broke off its attack on the Balthazar's trident and gave chase. Matcha's illusionary ships began to limp and wobble in the water like injured birds pretending to have broken a wing. The maw eagerly focused its attention on them, teeth snapping through hulls that didn't exist, tail lashing the water as it was drawn away. That left the Pride and the Balthazar's trident to deal with the second Exebec. I've got an idea. Kobaya brightened. Helmsman, sail to the west back where you picked me up. The Pride will follow us. He signaled toward the Pride, and Sycox waved back. Kobaya gestured for them to unfurl the sails. Put ours down, too. They're burned, Livia protested smoothly. They'll do us no good. Put them down. All of them. Even the ones that aren't catching wind. We need to block their line of sight. We have no guns to the rear, Ader reminded him. We won't be able to fire at the Aryans when they give chase. We won't need our guns. Just unfurl the sails and head west, and keep them on the trident's stern. Together, the Pride and the Balthazar's trident sailed side by side, sails wide and grasping at the ocean wind as the Orion ship followed them. The Exebec continued to fire, and the remaining elementalists on the Creodon galleon did everything they could to turn the blasts aside. Twice, Kobaya thought they would be blown apart by the Orion attacks, only to see one of the 4 Creodon guardians lunge forward, shielding the rear of the ship with a protective blue hemisphere of magic. When the Orion spells impacted upon their magical protection, the guardian's enchanted shield crumpled, and the protector fell. Their life force expended to prevent the blast from reaching the ship, giving their lives to save their fellows. Kobaya signaled to Sycox. Using Shar hand signals designed to coordinate a silent attack, he initiated a countdown. They were almost there. Almost. Now. Hard to port. Yelling, he followed the command with, Sycox. Hard to starboard. The char aboard the Pride were ready, and both crews pulled their rudders hard and twisted their sails to draw them away. The 2 ships parted like a leaf cut in 2 by the keen blade of a sword. Their unfurled sails had hidden the sea ahead from their pursuer, keeping the Orions from recognizing the territory into which they sailed. And as the 2 ships broke to the sides, they slowed, allowing the Orion ship to rush between them and onto a massive, rocky outcropping that jutted up above the waves. The Exebec slammed into the promontory, wood shrieking as moss-covered stone pierced through her fire shield and into the hull itself. The entire ship crashed upward, masts giving way with a terrible cracking sound. They fell forward, snapping the rigging and causing the scarlet sails to founder and unfurl across her deck. The undead crew, caught off guard, flew forward, crashing into her forecastle and tumbling across the ship's deck. And as her spellcasters lost their concentration, the Exebec's magical protections failed. Fire! Kobaya pounded his fist on the railing. Now. Cannons fired from both ships, taking advantage of the Exebek's crumpling prow and her lack of magical defenses. Free of the winds that had been enchanted to shroud the portholes and lower decks, the Balthazar's trident's massive cannons could fire at last. By the time the smoke cleared, there was nothing left on the rock except a keel, weathered shards of wood, and a wide scrap of singed red sail. Adair stood in the center of the deck, commanding the Seraph response to the damage that had been done to his ship. The Cretans obeyed his commands earnestly, doing their best to repair the injuries done to the massive ship's hull and sails. "Commodore," the prince called to him, "looks like the Nomad's full foundered. We should sail by and offer aid while we can. That Asarin friend seems to have lost the beast. It could resurface anywhere." Fully aware that the maw was still out there, Kobaya nodded. The monstrous creature would see a still ship as a target, and it would take little effort for it to destroy a craft that couldn't move. Across the rippling plain of the bay, Kobaya could see limping Creadan vessels taking aboard rafts of sailors from crushed ships of Lion's Arch, and a flurry of small ships taking on a black-sailed clipper that was trying to take advantage of a Creadan ship on fire. The Pride was headed to meet with the Nadir Shill, pulling alongside the Asaran craft to exchange greetings. Kobaya's breath came in short gasps, his lungs laboring. The damage he'd taken aboard the Indomitable was significant, but he ignored it. The Leviathan was still out there, and at any moment it could strike. He scanned the sea, trying to catch a glimpse of the creature's fin or wake. But the waves were so choppy, the number of wrecked and ruined ships so great, that Kobaya could not find any sign of the massive beast. Battered and weary, the Balthazar's trident pulled alongside the Nomad too, its massive bulk making the clipper's small body look like a delicate koi resting against the bulk of a fat sunfish. "Oh," Kobaya called to her. "Kobaya, thank the goddess Lissa, you're safe. We thought you'd gone down with the Indomitable." She shouted back from the Nomad too. "Is it over? Is Dane? Your son's fine. The maw, it's still out there. We need to get your crew aboard the Trident. Without sails to move you, your vessel's a sitting duck." He heard his own voice shaking and struggled to regain his composure. Sailors on the Seraph vessel hurried to extend planks between the ships so the sailors on the Nomad too could evacuate. "It's all right. Adair's made a promise. We need to work together. Hurry." He reached to take her hand, helping her across the wooden board. "And you trust him?" she asked skeptically. Still, she couldn't hide the relief in her eyes as she took his hand. As the rest of the Nomad 2's crew came aboard, Aisei made her way across the plank to Kobaya's side. "No, but when we have a choice," he pulled her toward him. "I'll let you know." "What is Sikox doing?" Aisei asked as she stepped across to the Trident. Leaning against Kobaya, she raised one hand to shield her eyes and squinted out to sea. "Is that Yam's ship? Why are the Char going aboard?" Nearby, Rayleigh helped Tenzin across one of the walkways. He leaned heavily on the bosun. Confused, Kobaya turned to follow Aisei's gaze, spying the Pride and the Nadir Shill floating side by side. Several of the Char were leaping onto the Asaran ship, their weapons at the ready, though there were no undead anywhere that Kobaya could see. Before he could venture an opinion, the Balthazar's trident's bell began to ring. One of the crew nearby shouted, "I see the beast! To starboard, ahoy!" Indeed, the maw was rising once more, tearing one of the patchwork ships of Lion's Arch between its teeth as the monster lifted its massive bulk above the waves. Kobaya heard sailors screaming and wood rending and saw the vessel's mangled deck shatter in the monster's mouth. The Leviathan slammed down into the water, scattering dead bodies and ruined canvas in its wake. Huge waves rolled in all directions from the impact, swelling so high that they knocked the Nomad too violently against the Balthazar's trident, as if she'd been buffeted by a giant's fist. Kobaya heard boards smash and crack as their hulls crashed against one another. "Your Highness," a sailor called out from the far end of the ship. "We're stuck." "Stuck?" "The boards, sir." Pulling Isai away from the edge of the ship, Kobaya looked past the railing. Indeed, jagged boards in the Nomad 2's hull had impaled the Balthazar's trident, twisting their boards together where the Clipper's broken ones jutted out at an angle from the ship. "Get the boat hooks," commanded Prince Adair. "Tear them apart. We'll fix the damage after." Even as he yelled, the maw rose again, this time on the far side of the Nomad 2. Its teeth grazed the hull of the Clipper, ripping through boards, tearing apart her lifeboats, and catching in her rigging. The blow hadn't been dead on, but rather askew, and the maw continued on past the two ships, expelling water in a wide arc, where it crashed back into the sea. The galleon and the Clipper rolled in the waves, pushed gently by the wind and the tossing of the creature's wake. "We've got to get away from the Nomad." "We have to keep moving," Kobaya called to the prince. "As long as we're moving, it's harder for the maw to catch us." A nearby sailor shook his head. "Those boards are caught together too well for us to lever them apart without proper tools, sir. We're trapped." "We'll see about that," said Grimsvard, grasping a long boat hook in either hand. As he wedged them down between the two vessels, Kobaya heard the sound of small arms fire. He looked back over his shoulder and saw the faint smoke of pistols rising from the deck of the Nadir Shill. The Pride was pulling away from the Esseron vessel, her engines chugging full bore. But Kobaya could see Shar on the Nadir Shill, and he heard Fasher cursing even this far away across the waves. "What's going on?" "Colby!" Sycox roared from the deck of the Nadir Shill. "Colby! That skrit think of an Asura. She stole our damn ship." "Wait, what?" He bolted toward the railing but was forced to stop as the wound in his side flared up agonizingly. "What did you say?" Kobaya yelled back, still holding Isai close. "Matcha." The Char pointed desperately after the Pride. "She made us think you were aboard the Shill. It was one of her crazy, confusing illusions we came across because you ordered it. But then you vanished. By the time we realized it was a trick, the lines had been cut, and her engine'd already gotten them out of leaping range." Assaran sailors raced about on the little caravel, terrified by the furious Char warband trapped in their midst. Fasher swatted at one, knocking the little fellow into the ship's hold with a squeak of terror. "Matcha's here?" Isai's hazel eyes flew wide. "What is she doing?" Kobaya glowered with barely contained rage. "Apparently, she's stealing the Pride